Right, so the Constitutional Court says Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane acted outside her mandate when she investigated the funding of President Cyril Ramaphosa's CR17 campaign. The payments made to Ramaphosa's ANC presidential campaign became the subject of scrutiny when Mkhwebane was asked to investigate whether he had misled Parliament about a 500,000 donation made by late Bosasa boss Gavin Watson. The Concord has also ruled that Mkhwebane had no authority to instruct the National Assembly Speaker and the National Director of Public Prosecutions on how they should act against the President as a result of her findings. How does this judgment impact the Office of the Public Protector? To answer that, Professor Zwelinzima Ndevu from the School of Public Leadership in Stellenbosch tells us more. Professor, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Judge Chris Jafta was very critical of Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Surely this will only fuel more accusations that she's unfit to remain in office.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you and your listeners. I think this is a pattern of judgments that have been filed or presented against Busisiwe Mkhwebane. That also erodes the public trust in that office because it has been portrayed bad judgments that have been given to that office. It really puts the spotlights on the capabilities of that office to be able to execute its function properly and in a manner that is satisfactory and is within the law.
Now, what do you make of that ruling by Judge Chris Jafta on the office?
I think for me the judgment is very worrying. One, it says that the public protector might not understand the law or might not understand how his responsibilities and his authorities is as the office of the public protector. So that calls into question the modus operandi of that particular office and how they conduct investigations, which is worrying.
The President breathed, I suppose, a sigh of relief. That cloud hanging over his head has now essentially disappeared. What does this now mean for the President and his position, as well as instilling some sort of confidence within the nation?
I think the President must be blooming with confidence now, must be feeling finally that he has all along been saying that he has made a mistake and he has not hidden anything from Parliament. In fact, it was the same President who went to Parliament a week later and said, I made a mistake. But for us as general public, we must be very worried. If we have a public protector who seemingly is either incompetent or not able to execute her work according to the rule book, then must be worrying for us, the public. But for the President, I think it's a good day in the office.
I mean, it really is worrying. I mean, the public protector, somebody that is supposed to be a legal expert, someone with at least 10 years experience in the field, in her respective field of law. How can one even begin to make sense of the fact that the public protector got it so wrong and such a critical report at that?
I think the number of incidents or court judgments where they've indicated that the public protector has got his reports very wrong or her findings very wrong are worrisome. And they might talk to a public protector that is incompetent, that cannot execute her responsibility. And you are correct. A public protector should be somebody who has some form of legal expertise and at least 10 years within the field, who is an expert in that field. And it seems that Advocate Mkhwebane she's really incompetent for that particular job.
What do you imagine to happen now? I mean, we know that we've seen case after case after case, the public protector being really scrutinized and very critical of her, these judgments following her deliberations and the work that she's doing.
I think what is left now with this judgment, I think, was the last nail on the coffin. What is left is for Parliament to expedite the process of impinging the public protector. Alternatively, if Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane has any form of ethical legal standing, would take precautionary leave and let that office image not be tainted any further. So that's what one expects from Advocate Mkhwebane going forward.
What kind of legal reform would you advise or would you say needs to be instituted to prevent such things from happening again?
I think in future, there must be further scrutinities on whoever is appointed in that particular position to ensure that that particular incumbent has a sufficient track record within the legal system, has worked within the environment. I think for good practice, a deputy public protector must ascend to the position of the public protector, because over time they would have learned from that particular position, and they would take their experience as deputizing a public protector into the new role of being the public protector, and that would help us. We have somebody who has not operated in that space, and you put them in that space, and these are the results that we get.
The ruling in the President versus the Public Protector may have offered some vindication to the President, but we know the matter is not entirely over. Amabungani also had a different take that has now left them vindicated, as it is now going to a High Court, pardon me, on the questions of constitutional validity. What do you make of that side of this matter?
I think what gives comfort with that is that they are challenging the validity of the constitutional clause that gives certain rights to private individuals or private organizations to act in a particular way. What would have been correct for the public protector would have been firstly to check as to whether it is within her realm to actually investigate that, like the Amabunga are doing. And therefore, once that has been ventilated, she can then take the next step. So you are correct, it is not yet over for the President, but it would ultimately give more transparencies in processes such as this one.
Now, in terms of the public protector, as you've mentioned, that this essentially means that she will have to fall on her sword. What if she doesn't? Is there any recourse that can be taken against her for these kind of reports?
Unfortunately, other than the parliamentary process, there's nothing much can be done other than to recover the cost, the financial implication of taking this process through these judicial processes from her personally. I think that's the only thing that can be remedial action that can be taken so far, and other than the impeachment process that is ongoing. But I think it's a lesson for legislatures that they have to review the legislation to ensure that if a person who leads a Chapter 9 institution cannot perform, then there must be processes in place to ensure that speedily you take out that person and put somebody who would be competent. Because you would remember that many people, the poorest of the poor, rely on that office to raise issues that they might not be happy with in terms of service delivery. And if that office is not functional, then many people would then be affected negatively by that.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Zwelinzima Ndevu, giving some insight over the CR17 vindication for President Cyril Ramaphosa and, of course, the impact that this case and this judgment has on Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane.